anything and everything to pontificate towards you to make themselves look important. From using big words like pontificate. The same basic theories that applied back in 1850 still apply today. You basically keep things dry, you keep things out of sunlight, and you keep it contained in itself so that it doesn't get contaminated. There's a couple of different ways to do that, whether by heat sealing in something like a mason jar, which if you guys didn't realize this basic mason jar and the style lid that they have, Napoleon brought these into battle. That's where canning food really came from. It was back when Napoleon was fighting wars. That's how he came up with the line of, an army moves on its stomach. Well, that's how he fed his troops. They would package the food in France in basically a hand-formed tin can, would pasteurize it in a water bath, and then they'd make it out into the field. They'd crack it open, warm it, and eat it. But knowing that, Napoleon didn't have half the technology we have today, didn't have any of the experiences many of us have individually today. They just didn't have it available to them. So now, you get on the internet, you start watching all the different YouTube videos, and believe me, there are many YouTube video commandos out there, no offense, Eric, that will tell you anything and everything to pontificate towards you to make themselves look important. From using big words like pontificate. We'll talk to you about, oh, it has to be held for so many minutes at this temperature, and it has to be done for this long, or if you don't, you'll cause yourself to get botulism. Here's the basic theory. You have a clean vessel, whatever your vessel is, whatever your jar is, whatever your 2-liter bottle is, whatever your 5-gallon bucket is. As long as it's clean and sterile when you use it, and you don't put bacteria in the jar, your food's going to be just fine. 99.8% of the time. You crack a jar open, just like Grandma did. First thing she does, smell it. If your jar doesn't smell good, don't eat it. It's probably not. But don't throw it away either. You can use it to feed the animals. They can eat it. You can use it for bait for a trap, whatever, down the line. The whole point is use the senses and the brains God gave you. You don't have to overemphasize and overthink everything. My grandfather, 100 years ago, was canning meat in cans like this, or in bottles like this, and we found some in his fruit cellar that were at least 20 years old. And I gotta tell you, they still had solid seals on them. We cracked them open and they smelled good. None of us ate them, just to be safe. But from the dates that he had written on top, we fed them to the animals and they had no problem with them. But the point is if you seal everything up in an oxygen-free environment, most of your bacteria can't grow. There are certain types of bacteria that can grow in anything. Just like when somebody tells you got to boil your water for 3 minutes before you drink it. The truth is that once it reaches 160, 98% of anything that could hurt you is dead. So that's called pasteurization. That's the difference between the temperature issues. And this argument goes on and on forever and a day. Here's the truth. Matter of fact, we spoke about it at the last meetup where we all went camping. If you make a big pot of chili, and it's mostly meat, it goes into a jar like this, and you can water bath can it. The safety sallies on the internet are going to freak out when I say that. Are going to just freak out when I say that, because you're taking meat and you didn't boil it for 90 minutes in a 240-degree steam bath in a high-pressure canner. No, I didn't. But neither did Napoleon, and his troops lived. The truth is once you pre-cook food, just like this can, it's pre-cooked. You've already killed most of anything in the way of bacteria that's in it. And if you scoop that food from a pot and put it in a jar, put a clean lid on it, seal it, and then water bath can it in 160-degree water to 200-degree water, and that lid seals down tight, which, does everybody understand how a mason jar seals up? They suck down, the vacuum seals it up, and then you go to open it and it makes that pop, and you'll hear it sucks air in. As long as it does that, seals down tight, your food's going to be safe. The reason I bring this up is Post-event, we're going to have to store the food we grow, the deer we kill, the food that we have. It's all not going to come on a day-by-day basis. You're going to get a deer on Monday, you may not see one for 3 weeks. Hell, how many of us know deer hunters that go hunting for years before they even kill their first deer? There's just not that many out there. There's a lot of them, but not everybody's able to get to them to kill them. The point is when you catch a 200-pound deer, or you kill it, you're going to have 200 pounds of meat or 160 pounds of meat to deal with. You cannot eat 160 pounds of meat before it goes rancid and bad. That's why food storage post-event comes to this vessel right here. And it's the one that everybody needs to have a good stockpile of now. Even if you're not using them now, buy them. Buy them by the case, hang on to the metal ring that goes on the top, and buy boxes of these, the can lids. They're only good for one use 99% of the time. You can still use them for other things afterwards to seal the hole, but you can't preserve food with it. It's only good for one pass. That's because of this rubber seal. Buy them up now while they're available. When you see them at garage sales and stuff, be skeptical because you never know what was in them, how they were treated. And to be honest, if you don't see the proper name on the glass, you're not sure if it was the bottle that had pickles in it or tomato sauce that looks like a ball canning jar, and that glass can't take the high heat. And it will shatter and splinter in a water bath container if you're not careful. Next vessel I talk with is this. Everybody knows what it is. It's a 2-liter soda pop bottle. And if you didn't know what it was, you'd pay money to buy it. Because it's a 2-liter volume container made out of type of plastic that can take anything, including pressure. It's meant to have soda pop filled in it up to about right here, put on the back of a hot truck, and do this. Shake the damn thing for hours and days on end. And what does that do to the carbonation inside? It activates it, creating more pressure. You ever take a 2-liter bottle and shake it? I'm sure we all have. They damn near split in half. They get so rigid and tight. And that's the point of why this is such a good thing to use. And it is the best prepper container you're ever going to find. I prefer these over the 5-gallon buckets. I prefer them over canning jars for dry goods. That is to say, pasta, rice, sugar, salt, corn, anything you want. You put it in here, you fill it up, give yourself a little headspace, an inch or two, and you stick an oxygen absorber in there and you crank it down. It does a couple of things. Once you peel the label off the side, which I'm not going to be able to do this for time, you peel the label off the side. Thank you. I know you go in handy. You can see everything in it. And when you can see everything that's in it, you know how it's being treated, how it's being handled. Eric here will tell you, he had a little incident here recently where mice got into one of his bins. And all of his dry goods were contaminated. Because two things. The mice were able to smell it, and they were able to get through it because it was in commercial packaging, like you see here. They were able to get into it, so he lost all of his dry goods that were in that one. Well, using him as an example, this is why I wanted to talk about this in this manner. Two things. Ziploc bags are not meant for long-term storage of any kind of food. They're meant for short-term portioning of food. They are not meant for long-term storage. Granted, it's one of the best devices man ever had. Put it in your bag, put it in your storage, and have them. They're awesome. They'll pay for themselves, and they're worth their weight in gold in time. Don't throw away the lid. You see on the top of a soda pop bottle, unlike if you buy iced tea in these, or you buy orange drink, or fruit juice, or fruit flavored drinking stuff for the kids, if it's not a carbonated beverage, it has a different seal in the lid. This seal, if you've ever looked on top of a pop bottle, is a little flat disc. Basically, it's a silicone. It's heat temp silicone. All you have to do to make this usable, fill it about 1/4 of the way up with hot water, the hottest tap water you have. Don't go crazy with the Dawn dishwashing detergent. Don't go crazy boiling a pot of water to pour in the damn thing. It's not worth it. just simply fill it about a quarter of the way through, put the lid on it, and do my favorite, give it a shake. If you've had it sitting for a while and you've got soda pump driving spots in there, you'll see it. The hot water will soften the sugars that are in this stuff and pull all the sugars out of any pores of this plastic. That's the key. Then just simply dump it, rinse it again, shake it one more time with cold water if you want, or hot water, doesn't matter. Dump it, let it air dry. Put the lid back on it, stick an oxygen absorber in there first if you want to. It's good for 20 years. Why I like these is when they're done, you can stack them like cordwood in the back of a closet. Go. Where do I get what?
The oxygen, you can order them.
Amazon. Matter of fact, here, we'll see what they look like. I'll show you what they look like. Here they are. Now we're talking about these. Let me bring up a couple of really good points so everybody can see what they look like. They come packed like this. And in here's about 40 or 50 of them. You see this little thing at the top? Be careful where you buy these from. Open them up as soon as you get them shipped in, even if you don't use it for 6 months. I bought these 4 months ago. Two things to notice. See how the plastic is sealed up tight? And it's like a brick? And that red eye. The red eye is very important. That's the seal that tells you they've been not exposed to any oxygen. As soon as you cut this package open and use any one of these, that red eye starts to turn blue. And as soon as that turns from red to any other color, these are no longer any good. This is 10 Mylar bags for 5-gallon buckets and enough O2 absorbers for those 10 buckets. Yes?
What do you do once you open that? Say you don't have a use for all 40 or 50 of them.
Which 99% of the time, you don't.
You're right.
I'm going to show you how to handle that in a little while. So remember that question when I start opening these up, ask me and I'll show you then.
Can you pass that around?
Yeah. Everybody, we're going to pass these around so you can see what they look like. Do not open, please. Be very careful with this Mylar bag and don't open the inside of it to look at it. It is sterile, so I want to use it to put some food in today. When it comes to oxygen absorbers and bags, Amazon is your best friend. I bought these, 20 bucks delivered. So do the math on that. That's everything you need to put together 10 5-gallon buckets of food, oxygen absorbers and bags for $2 a bucket. It's idiot proof. You have to do this. This takes your storage from being a year or two in storage and makes it 20 to 25 years depending on what you're putting in there. The key of what you're putting in there is oil and moisture. If you have an oily item like nuts, you're not going to get a long time because oil will go rancid even in a non-oxygen environment. But rice, sugar, salt, dried corn, dried beans, any one of those will last 20 to 25 years with no questions. But that's the shortest way to spend money to take care of your family long term and to stretch your items that you're going to have. You're going to have access to fish, animals, proteins of different types, but unless you have a rice paddy in your backyard, you're not going to get any carbs. You're going to be digging roots to get carbs. Only a couple of times a year are you going to be able to even plant or even dig up potatoes if you even know how to grow them. So plan ahead, and most of your food storage long term is going to be carbohydrates, not proteins. There are some exceptions to that. We'll go over that in a little while. But basically, when it comes down to what you're storing and how you store it, this is your best value out there. It costs you nothing. By the way, great way to store water. Stack them like cordwood. You never have to worry about them. But if you ever have to grab water and go, this is a whole lot easier to transport excuse me, than a 55-gallon barrel of water.